Video editing is an art, and there's a lot that goes into making that perfect edit. Today, I've got 7 quick tips that are gonna make you a better editor and help you make higher quality, more engaging content. Let's jump right in. Number 1, define your purpose. Before you even open your video editing program, you need to ask yourself a few questions. What is this video for? Who is this video for? What's my audience? Do I need to adapt the style of my edit to meet that audience's needs? This is a necessary pre-editing bit of homework that I'm going to push you to try out the next time before you jump into an edit. Defining the purpose of your edit will drive your entire editing process, and it'll help you make clearer decisions on the style, flow, and structure of the video. Number 2, learn through imitation. Now, what I'm not saying is go copy everybody's work. What I am saying is that if you're watching a movie or a video or a TV show and you see something that's just kind of like, how the heck did they do that? Explore that. For example, one of my favorite YouTubers, Aidin Robbins, recently posted a video where he had this forest shot that just kept zooming out and zooming out and zooming out, and it stayed in focus the entire time. I was left a little bit perplexed, so I jumped down to the comments and saw that he had actually replied to a comment on how he did this shot. So what I did is I went out to my backyard with my iPhone and recreated that shot myself. I learned the editing technique, and now I have that in my toolbox for the next time I approach an edit. It's a perfect way to quickly learn new techniques and explore other people's video editing style. This will eventually lead you to developing a strong style of your own, which you will use in future edits. Number 3, define and evoke an emotion. The best pieces of content evoke an emotional response from their audience. When I watch a piece of media and I just feel nothing, I really struggle to stay engaged in that piece of content. I tend to lose interest and I fall off quickly. Now, what I'm not saying is that every single video that you make has to make your audience cry. What I'm saying is you need to define what that emotional response is that you want. Should this video make your audience happy? Should it make them sad? Should it make them hyped up like they want to run through a wall? Should it make them cry? Should it be a little bit mysterious or disturbing? Spend some time thinking about what that emotional response is that you want to trigger in your audience, and then execute on that emotion. Now, if you're a little bit stumped on how to achieve an emotional response through a video edit, don't worry, I'll be talking about that extensively in a future video. Number 4, make motivated cuts. This is a massive point that I think a lot of beginner video editors miss when they start editing. The cuts in your video should be motivated somehow. There are typically a few ways that you can do this. Number 1 is to use music. Editing to the beat or textural elements of a song is one of the easiest ways to decide where cuts should be placed so that it feels more natural. Number 2, editing with action. Placing your cuts where maybe there's somebody moving in your scene or a camera movement or some type of action that happens that helps you decide where you should place that cut is always a way to change scenes a little bit more naturally. Follow the action and the flow of what's actually happening in the scene that you're editing. And lastly, dialogue. If there's dialogue or conversations in your scene, that can help you decide where to put those cuts to make that conversation flow a little bit more naturally. Try your absolute best to avoid unmotivated cuts in your video edit. They can be jarring and disrupt the flow of your video and lead to some overall jank that just makes things feel amateurish. When in doubt, ask yourself, why does this cut exist? If you can't answer that question, then you probably need to reconsider your approach. All right, tip number 5, my absolute favorite tip on this list. Most of the time, less is more. Editing can be fun and a great way to explore your creative passions. However, sometimes it's really easy to overdo things and get a little bit carried away. The best example I can think to demonstrate this is when it comes to transitions. Unless it's a definite stylistic choice, think maybe like the transitions in Star Wars, it's typically said that a bad transition is a transition that your audience notices. People should be immersed in your edit, and the second that a transition happens on screen that they notice and they're thinking, what was that transition, or that felt a little bit odd, and they're no longer immersed in the story that you're trying to tell, you've lost your audience. It can be really easy to over edit your video and use transitions and effects that most of the time a simple cut would just take care of it. try to ask yourself, is this actually adding anything to my edit? And if the answer is not really, then you should probably not do it. Tip number 6, master your tools. If you are constantly fighting against your tools, you need to spend a little bit of time sharpening your skill set. I've been focusing on this area with myself, and I recently made a video on this channel with some amazing new keybinds that I discovered that sped up my workflow and have changed my process forever. I'm gonna link that video here. Feel free to check it out. And my last tip, and most importantly, there is no such thing as a perfect edit, and ultimately, rules are meant to be broken. Every piece of content that I've ever edited, I've looked back at some point and said, man, I wish I would have done this different, or I wish I would have taken this different approach to this element, or this just doesn't feel quite right. With that in mind, rules are absolutely meant to be broken. Some of the absolute best pieces of art that come out of this industry are a deviation from what's considered correct or normal. Take some time to explore your own style and build your own techniques and have fun with what you're creating. In the end, editing is an art and a way to put yourself into a project, and you should never, ever, ever put yourself into a box. Thank you everyone for checking this video out. I hope you learned something that you can apply to your own editing. If you have any amazing tips for me, I'd love to hear them. Leave me a comment down below. Otherwise, remember, happiness is the journey, and I'll see you next time.